What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in previous video, we talked about the attacks that we done since New Year's for the new year. Venezuela and all that. But now we're going to go back and talk about the Christmas attacks. That's right. The United States did military strikes on Christmas Day. Christmas Day, if you did not know that. And we did this in Nigeria. So we're going to be talking about these attacks. I'm going to be talking first off the fact that Trump is the one that announced this on social media and how he announced it, the narrative that was being presented. We'll talk about where the attacks were made, Nigeria, the breakdown of the religion there versus the Islamic State, the terrorism, the way the structure of the country is made, where people live, and how all this has been developing over the years, and whether or not this narrative really adds up. What is the real reason why this narrative is being presented? So yeah, we're going to talk about that. So thank you very much for joining me here on ClearTalk. If you are new, welcome to ClearTalk. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to get to help out with the channel and get more videos to more people. If you'd like to check out other channel, more of my channels, you got JMD there, JMDPLAY and Puzzle. If you like what you see there, check out videos there. If you want, consider subscribing to those as well, if you would like to help out those channels. I am so staggering on this whole section of my lead. Holy moly. You can tell I'm a little out of practice. I've been off for a couple weeks. And then there's Patreon there if you want to give any kind of support. $3 a month. You can help support any of the channels you would like to help grow those channels, to help grow Patreon, to help grow the JMD Nation at large. Give donations there if you'd like. Any way you want to support the channel is very much appreciated, or any of the channels is very much appreciated. And I thank you very, very much. And if you are returning, you're freaking amazing. You are amazing. Keep coming back. Thank you very much. So let's get to it. Okay. All right. So while, most of the country is celebrating Christmas in whatever way that you celebrate Christmas, whether you're hardcore, in the whole lore of Christmas, as far as from a religious standpoint, Christianity, the birth of Christ, and all that narrative, you're engaged in those feelings and thoughts for Christmas, the gift giving, the family, and all that. Or if you're somebody who's not necessarily of all of that tradition, Christmas stuff, regardless of where it really came from, you're still you're engaged in the family gathering, right? The gift giving and all that kind of stuff. While we're doing all of that, trying to love one another, joyful time, Christmas Day. Our military conducted a deadly strike in Nigeria. Reportedly against ISIS terrorists. And our president, Donald Trump, presented it like this. This is on, as you see, December 25th at about 5 o'clock p.m. Tonight, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria. Keep that in mind, northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. I have previously warned these terrorists that if they do not stop the slaughtering of Christians, there would be hell to pay. And tonight, there was. The Department of War executed numerous perfect strikes, as only the United States is capable of doing. Under my leadership, our country will not allow radical Islamic terrorism to prosper. May God bless our military, and Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists, of which there will be many more if their slaughter of Christians continues. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Wow, that's quite a statement. And when I heard about this, I was like, holy crap. Like, why? Why are we doing strikes on a country on Christmas? Like, I would think, Christmas is a federal holiday. This year it was supposed to be Christmas Eve and even the day after Christmas. Like, there's a whole 3-day holiday for this year. Everybody's supposed to be off enjoying a Christmas, enjoying the whole spirit of the holidays and stuff. But we had military personnel ordered to do a deadly strike on Christmas. Okay? On Christmas. And furthermore, in the name of Christians at that. I mean, we have here, it's because of the innocents slaughtering, vicious killing of innocent Christians. Stop the slaughtering of Christians. So we are because of the narrative, the narrative being played here is that Christians are being slaughtered. So in the name of Christians, on Christmas Day, which is a, Christian holiday, primarily, we then are attacking and killing people. We are slaughtering people in the name of Christianity, in the name of Christians, on Christmas Day. The layers there, for me, the imagery there that you are presenting, the way you are presenting this attack is crazy for me. It's mind-boggling. And it's done on purpose. It's done on purpose, regardless of whether or not. And we're going to get into the breakdown of Nigeria and what's happened here. What's the landscape and what's going on there. We're going to break that down. But just on the surface here, just on this attack and the narrative, the way it's being presented, I mean, for a while now, Christian groups have been activism groups have been trying to get something done about this in the name of Christians in Nigeria. Have been wanting something done about this for a while now, because the feeling and the idea is that the Nigerian government, while they have tried to do actions that would to try to control this, it's not working. There's still attacks happening. They can't quite do enough. That's the idea, the idea around peace through strength, that military strikes on these groups are going to just make them disappear, which has never been the case. And we've seen that over and over and over and over and over again. You might slow them down for a moment. You might maybe even end the majority of actions and like consolidation in a general area, but all they do is move to other areas, or they split up and divide into more and more and more and more groups in other areas, and they'll pop back up, and then you're having like there's no, their ideology is completely against Western civilization. We're going to get into that. But these types of actions, but the action alone is one thing, and discussion around whether or not even a military strike on these groups are really doing anything to eliminate them. But to then do it and I'm not even I'm not a Christian. I've stated this many times. I'm not religious. I used to be, though. I spent the first 25 years of my life as a Christian. And to think for me that you decisively decide to do a deadly strike, you are in the name of Christians, like this was something in the name of even God. Like God has given me this, because of Christians, like I am being pushed to do this attack to protect Christians on Christmas Day, on a day of, like I said, supposed to be of celebration and around, the birth of a religion's like savior and everything, like all of that narrative. The action there that this where the foundation and beginning of Christianity, where it started, that day of celebration, arguably whether or not it's true or not, or even that day is accurate or not, that's how it is celebrated modern times. The foundation there of making that type of attack in the name and protection of Christians, it is like the symbolic meaning for me that like it goes back to the WWJD. Like, what would Jesus do? Would he accept this type of thing being done on the day of like his birthday? You know what I mean? Like, it's that whole imagery and thing there is quite concerning for me, just on the surface. And I feel like should be, and not really even me personally, but like should be a concern for Christians personally, Christians at large. But yet I saw a lot of people quite happy and accepting of this, like to do these type of actions on this day was acceptable. And I feel that that's a little, I don't know, that's a little touchy there. And for me, it's all because I mean we know Trump is not really religious, even though he acts like, and he panders to the Christian community. He doesn't really care about Christians actually, but he cares that the support is there, the support that he wants to maintain the support of Christians, even though he's doing a lot of other things that have got Christians going, wait a minute, hold up. To bring them back into the fold, he needs to do something in the name of Christians in order to bring them back. And I feel like that's what he was really, really kind of doing here. But so let's step back though, and let's understand and look at what's going on in Nigeria. What is the religious breakdown? Here's a map. This is the latest that I could get, really, on this. This is from 2021. This was like one of the best or most latest kind of breakdown. I'm sure that to some degree this has shifted just a little bit over the past 4 years, potentially, but it kind of gives the overall idea of religious breakdown of the country of Nigeria and what's been going on or how this translates. Because, like I said, this attack was done in the name of Christians. Like Christians are the only like are predominantly being slaughtered, and it's being done in the name of Islam. Okay, as you can see here, all right, the breakdown of Nigeria is basically Muslim, Christian, and then other. Mostly the other is more traditional, tribal like beliefs and stuff. I mean, there's other breakdowns. You could break down the Muslims. You can break down the Christianity. There's different sectors, whether they're non-denominational, Roman Catholic, or Protestant. There's breakdowns of that in the Christianity in the Christianity group as well. But just in general speaking, Islam, Muslim, and Christianity. You have most of the north is Islam or is Muslim, okay, and most of the south is Christianity, all right, and as a majority. But there are, as you see here, up in the far north is the most Muslim. Like there's a majority Muslim, but there are still Christians up in these areas. Through the central part of Nigeria, it's very much more mixed. I think that Borno here is probably more dark now. Like all these, I think are more dark now. Like this, I feel like it would be a little bit more accurate to current conditions. But all this through the center here is more mixture. It's more of a 50-50 kind of thing, or maybe a 60-40 in some of these areas, more 60-40 Christian in these areas. But the middle belt here, as it's called, is more mixed, and then your lower states in Nigeria are more Christian. There are still some Muslims in these areas, but they're majority Christian. So that's the breakdown. All right. Now, you have two major groups, and like I said, I am not in any way trying to say that I'm some sort of professional or whatever. This is my understanding from the research that I've done on Nigeria and where these groups are, how the demographic is split up. This is my best understanding. So if you look into it yourself to try to understand and question what I'm saying, if you will. That's no problem. Don't accept my word. Do your research yourself. If you do not believe what I'm saying, or if you question what I'm saying, or just want to validate what I'm saying. So the Boko Haram is an Islamic state group that mostly functions up in the northeast. Keep that in mind, the northeast of Nigeria. They're mostly in Borno, but they do have some factions down here and over here. And that's the way, but they mostly function up in this far northeastern part. All right. And they, over the years, have split into another group, the ASWA, ASWA, a group, and they also function in the same area. There's been a sort of been like a faction split, all right, which is often what happens when people don't completely align. They split. That causes skirmishes between them, but then they're also skirmishing with the people around, trying to control resources, trying to control areas and whatnot. And that's what's been going on there. You have other groups throughout these areas. Here lately, the latest group in the area where we actually bombed on Christmas Day was in Sokoto, right up here. All right. And the latest group that has came up this year in this area is the Lawaria or something like that. They are a new group that the government, which is right here in Abuja, all right, this is there's a central kind of federal state right there around the capital. Well, I think it may be this Abuja here, whatever. Where the capital is that, and where the state government is, this is the latest struggle. They've been trying to figure out. They've been struggling with Boko Haram and the ISWA for quite a while, many years. Over the past decade, they've been in conflict with them. The latest one though is this new group up in Sokoto. There's a kind of more guerrilla-like, gangy group, not relatively small compared to the two groups over here, but they have been recently attacking areas in Sokoto and causing havoc there. But they've been making some other attacks here in this area, from my understanding. And I've got other data to kind of show that. The Boko Haram, where they normally attack or have been attacking over the years, is up in this area, relatively close to the capital, but up in here, up in here, up in here. So that's the reason why you'll, when you really look at the data broke down, yes, Christians are being attacked and killed, but so are Muslims. As a matter of fact, when you break it down, it's pretty much half and half. There have been times where there have been majority Muslims killed, and then there have been times where there's majority Christians killed. But overall, it's not as if these Islamic groups are targeting solely Christians. They are targeting anyone who doesn't agree with their ideology or their movement, doesn't want to be a part of their movement, and not even necessarily because of religion, but just because of their anti-West sentiment. And most, the Nigeria is a more democratic, Western leaning, especially from the capital down, a lot of this area, and the people who are Muslim but don't adhere to these Islamic groups' ideology, which is based basically from the ISIS-like ideology, connections there. They live more in a Western style. They live a Western style ideology and belief. When it comes to even their style of more Western style of Muslim or more Western style of Christianity, like that kind of, if you want to just think of that way. Is ISIS and all the affiliates, all the things that's broke from ISIS, all these other groups. That's basically what their thing is they are anti-West. They're anti-imperialism of the West, of the U.S. and of the Europe and of the Western, like, democracy like ideology. They want more of a Islamic ethno state that is anti-West. It would be very much more dictatory like. But nevertheless, that's what they are really about. Not necessarily that they purposely attack Christians or purposely attack Muslims. I mean, to some degree, there may be some underlyingness of that, but mostly it's just the fact that they are attacking anti-Islamic groups or opinion, so to speak, to cause havoc, to try to create so much chaos or issues, to where or whether it's maybe even trying to take territory more or broaden their influence or whatever, to ultimately maybe eventually take over the country, take over the government, dismantle the government, make it so, have so much trouble that it can't handle things, and they can somehow take over. That's how they work. Or my understanding, even seeing when you talk about other areas that we have went through, Iraq, Afghanistan, these other stuff that we've tried to overthrow, or we've tried to control, and then ultimately, once we can't really control them or keep them at bay or anything else, and we back out, then they ultimately take over. If we've seen in Iraq, and we've seen in Afghanistan, and other, this is just their ultimate. The idea is that they just want to take over. And while I understand the sentiment of that's bad, and they we want to somehow find a way to control them. The narrative that has been giving around that this is solely Christian, and this is about, they're attacking Christians, not necessarily, it's not really, from what I see, is not really the narrative. It's not really what's happening. So that's, like I said, and what we've done is this new group over here has done some attacks in here that, yes, have had some Christians attacked, whether they were killings, robbery, and other different crimes that they have committed up in the area, kidnapping. It has been done, and the government has not been able to control it. So what happened was, in correlation with the U.S. government, the Nigerian government gave, and they've been doing attacks. The government, over the past few weeks before our attack, was making attacks on the Sokoto area, on these groups. And while I think on one of the attacks that they did, they even took out one of the leaders, if not the main leader of the group. But it fundamentally was not stopping them. They were still carrying out sort of retaliatory attacks, if you will. So the Nigerian government asked the U.S. to step in. And that's what the Christmas Day attacks were, where we, do a couple of missiles or whatever, a couple of areas we attacked in that area to show a heavier might than what the Nigerian government could do, to try to dismantle this group up here, and kind of thwart their activity that they've been doing recently. To what extent that is going to actually work, I think, is kind of yet still to be seen. I mean, I think since then they have been quiet for the most part. I don't know what kind of damage any kind of so-called infrastructure that the group may have had was hurt. Them being a very small group probably did. I would think if it did make contact to significant areas, maybe it did dismantle them fairly well. But still, the question remains: is this is such a small group? The biggest issue with Nigeria has always been the Boko Haram and the ISWA, and all the attacks that they do. And they are the largest group that takes, massively larger than the group over here that's new. But we are not bothering with attacking them, which is interesting to me. And who knows? Maybe that's yet to come. I don't know, but that just was a very interesting thing to me, in my opinion. Now, I have a layout here. This is from the Africa Center of Strategic Studies. This is a group that basically they have tried to pinpoint attacks of Islamic militant groups all throughout Africa, as you can see here. This is 2025, and they've got 2024, 2023, 2022, all the way back to 2016. All right, and showing the attacks and the growth of these groups. Um, and you see ISIS is separated here. ISIS, they're all through here in 2016, and that adjusts and moves through over the years to where they have been kind of, as we get to 2025 here, you can see that ISIS pretty much moved out all, or at least the attacks, the documented attacks. Let's put it that way, because they do state out that show of violent events involving the latest groups for the year. Group designations are intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered official due to fluid nature of many groups. Affiliations may change because these groups are always kind of breaking apart or moving and shifting as uh, uh, actions that are done by us or others, or whether it's the countries themselves, the governments of the countries themselves, or us, or whatever, kind of push them along, or the group goes kind of dormant for a little while, maybe while they're trying to or move to areas that are more interesting for them, or whatever the case, or maybe they're just trying to recalibrate to come up with some other kind of strategic attack that could ultimately get what they want. You see Somalia over here, one of that's been of interest for the U.S. for here recently. Has the Al Shabaab group heavily, all the attacks there, and of course ISIS at the northern part of Somalia. So the Somalia has a whole lot of issues. But here in Nigeria, you see the Boko Haram all up in the north here, along with the ISWA all up in the north. And you see there's attacks. I mean, Boko Haram doesn't just attack in Nigeria. They've done attacks, I think, in Chad and Cameroon, even in Niger. But you can see here the attacks that they've done have been central, close to right here in the federal capital, right here where Abuja is. But then this new group here, the Lakarawa, I think that's how you say that, Lakarawa, they are a new group that's come up just this year. As you see, in 2024, they were not here. This is a brand new group that has developed up in here, maybe influenced by one of these groups per se, or just built up out of the area of people in that northeastern area of Nigeria. Who knows? But they have done attacks here, as you see, that have been documented. And there's other groups, the Mambuda, they're through here in Nigeria as well. So you have a lot of affiliates here of the JNIM. That's massive all through here. Along with the ISGS. So you see there's the multitude of different groupings that oftentimes in the U.S. get sort of thrown in as just ISIS, because ISIS is just like this abbreviation that's been thrown at us to easily kind of just relate to Islamic groups, terrorist groups, while ISIS is really its own group. And then there's been an expansion that has grown, and that grew out of the Al Qaeda area grouping and stuff. And what we really would call more like ISIL, which is more of a collaborative of groups, like the breaking out and fractioning, the growth of groups, maybe where groups have saw the ideology and have taken it for themselves to grow their group. However, it was developed. These different groups have established themselves in these areas, and it's all in all to push back and in hatred, like I said, towards the West. That much is true. They are, anti-Western civilization, anti-Western ideology. Uh, the way we live, the democracy like style. They don't agree with it. They don't. That's the reason why a lot of these countries also in northern shit, my bad. In northern Nigeria are under Sharia law, because that's what these extreme Islamic groups try to press. From my understanding, I think a lot of these countries are actually under Sharia law, because of their influence in those areas, whether the people there agree with it or not. So yeah, that's what's actually the breakdown and understanding of the religious discussion around Nigeria, plus the Islamic group influence and power structure within Nigeria, and what they've been carrying out over the years. Why it appears, that yes, Christians are dying, but not really at any larger rate than Muslims are dying. It's not just a Christian thing, and that's another issue that I have with this post, is that why just state the vicious killing of just Christians? Why not state the vicious killings of Muslims and Christians by Islamic groups? Why? Because they don't want that separation. They think that Muslims and Islam creates, like, there's some sort of inherency to the Islamic terrorist groups, when all they are is just an extreme of Muslim, that where they have taken the Islam and the Muslim faith and like corrupted and manipulated it to something that it was not meant to be, like taking it to its complete extreme, which Christians have also done in history, taken it to its complete extreme and have killed in the name of Christianity. There's really no difference in that. So that's where I have even more of a problem, is that this would have been this, if the idea was that we are doing an attack on Nigeria because religious groups, Muslim and Christians alike, are being killed by these radical terrorist groups. And so we are doing this to protect these religious groups, Christianity and Muslim. Then I'd be like, hey, okay, there's some morality there. There is some like purpose there that is greater than, like, showing that an understanding, a nuance in the religious breakdowns of these religions, and what, like, I can understand that. But when you're purposely only focused on Christians, and on top of that, you are purposely doing this on a Christian holiday, as if this is something that Jesus, or even greater God, would accept and be okay with. Like, that's telling to me. That's concerning to me. And that's where I'm like, nah, we should not have done that. We should not have done that. Not on Christmas. Like, I'm fine that, we collaborated with the government of Nigeria to strike Islamic groups in the in that Sokoto whatever area, because they are creating issues and killing people, Muslims, Christians alike, whatever. They're creating to they're committing crimes, and the government doesn't feel like they can control them at the moment. So we assisted. I'm okay with. I can understand and get behind that type of action. But the symbolism that is blatantly clear here, in it being purposely done for only Christians, purposely done on Christmas, a Christian holiday, in the name of Christian activists and stuff who have been asking for it, it puts a whole lot of layers there that I don't think, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that the majority of the Christian community around the world would find acceptable. It continues this this system that Trump and his administration have done of creating acceptance around actions that they are doing. Manufactured consent. Presenting you with a narrative that makes you go, oh, that's personal, and I feel some personal way about that, so I should be behind this. So yay. But when you really break down the actual facts on the ground and what's going on, that narrative is inaccurate and is like blatantly, purposefully false and manufacturing an acceptance of you in the name of something that is not accurate, as a lie, that is false. But yet, the conservative, Republican, MAGA, and Christians keep drawing the line, a new line, every time the administration crosses. They keep drawing that new line, going, oh, that may have been too far. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, well, no, I guess I can accept it because, okay, you're a good guy. Let me draw another line. Oh, you crossed that one too. But I mean, okay, yeah, I guess I'll just accept it. Here, you keep moving the goalpost for what you're accepting and what you are okay with this administration. And while you might understand and get behind, like I said, the sentiment of assisting a government in the actions of a terrorist group, for it to be like there's purposefulness in when and how you conduct that. And the fact that this was purposely done and conducted in the way that it was, I think, is disrespectful and like puts the Christian community in a way that doesn't look, in my opinion, very Christian-like, if that makes sense. But you tell me what you think. Thank you very much for joining me. And I don't know. It just that it feels icky. It just feels icky. Even though I'm, like I said, I'm not even a part of that community anymore. I know those who, like, I have family members and friends, and I know that I mean, it's we're talking about worldwide community here, and I feel like this is just an action that was not very Christian like, not very well, distasteful for the Christmas spirit. But let me know what you think. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, peace, clear talk. I'm out.